Major General Walter Piatt, the Director of Operations for the Army Rapid Capabilities Office. He's been in that job for about 6 or 8 months. He has been tremendously helpful to our research and our effort to get our arms around these issues. He's the former Deputy Commanding General of the United States Army Europe, and he has just got his new assignment, heading off in a month or two to be Commanding General of the 10th Mountain Division. Congratulations on that. We're looking forward to your remarks.
I thought I'd get a better welcome than my old boss did, but that's good. Well, as Joe Anderson portrayed, what he laid out, when I was the ops director for him, I couldn't meet that demand. So I guess because of my sins, I've been sent to the Rapid Capability Office to help us be equipped to meet this demand. But the Rapid Capability Office was stood up really for a couple reasons. One, we cannot keep pace with our adversaries. You just heard the G3 explain how busy the Army is meeting current demand. But while we're meeting current demand, our adversaries have been modernizing at an alarming rate. So the two very fundamental reasons why we took this approach to build the Rapid Capability Office are: one, the speed of technology works faster than our own procurement system within the Army. So the speed of technology, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, much faster than a 10-year procurement or program model. And also the speed of our adversaries able to modernize their forces also demands. So we got two strategic glaring problem sets that are telling the Army you must go faster or live with the alternative. And that is unacceptable. A couple things that prevent us from modernizing at the rapid pace are: one, our current procurement system is well beyond that cycle. So what Joe Milley will say, you're giving me something in 10 to 15 years that I needed a year from now. That's unacceptable to the Army senior leadership, and it's also strategically irresponsible for the Army to help our nation meet its needs. The other thing that's really impacting the Army getting there is the ever-rising global demand on Army forces. So we're in the current fight all over the world, wherever that's stability operations or combat operations, our Army is deployed, and that is a hard state of readiness to just maintain the readiness, yet alone modernize and prepare for the future. That's the problem set that the Army has. We've got to be ready today, but we've got to be relevant for tomorrow. And the strategic framework that we're operating in, we're putting our investment in readiness today, and we're taking risk with relevance for tomorrow. So that's why the Rapid Capability Office was stood up. It's not about acquisition reform. It's about building a feasible modernization strategic framework for our Army. We've got to have a modernization plan. And it's very difficult to do when budget constraints are tight and global demand is high. But that's a state everybody operates in. We're not asking for an exception. We know that the Army owns this problem. We have got to build a modernization strategy that can meet the global demand today, but also produce relevant and ready forces for the future demands. So that's our framework. As we started, we would look at a couple things. What are the operational need statements from combatant commanders and Army service component commanders from the field? And also, what are the strategic gaps that the Army faces today if we had to deter a peer competitor? And to be able to deter them, you've got to be able to win that fight. So we looked at what is the problem set. So our adversaries, we started with what is the existential threat to the United States, and that was the problems we were seeing in Eastern Europe, mainly against Russia as an adversary that's modernized at an alarming rate. We saw what they were able to do in Crimea. We saw what their forces or capabilities are capable of doing in Ukraine. And then we looked at the lacking of capabilities that our own forces had in Eastern Europe, to include our allies. The electronic warfare structure of the military, we changed in the current fight from the broad scope of electronic warfare, of electronic support, electronic attack, electronic protection. We over-focused on protection. We needed to. The demand on the ground forced us to go that way. Well, in the current threat environment of the A2AD, the anti-access aerial denial apparatus that we now face, we now see that the adversary's ability to employ these types of systems create a very contested and congested domain of electronic warfare, denied GPS, cyber. So all these areas are the framework of how we started our approach to this. There are many things that are still needed there, but to be able to bring mobile protection fires, long-range precision fires, air defense to bear, we must first give our forces the ability to maneuver in these contested and congested domains. So as we started the office, we were given 4 priorities: cyber, electronic warfare, position navigation and timing, and active protection systems. Cyber and APS, I think you'll hear more on that a little bit later, perhaps from Dave. Already being worked in other directorates in the Army. So we focused on electronic warfare and position navigation and timing. Our first approach was we cannot wait for something to be developed, a perfect solution that would come to us in 5 or 10 years. What do we have in the inventory today that could be repurposed, that would give us the ability to do electronic support and electronic attack as well as electronic protection? So that's the first phase we're trying to lead off with. We're going to do rapid prototyping of these, or re-engineering, or just a tweak to something that's existing, issue it in a smaller formation in Eastern Europe, mainly with the 2nd Cavalry Regiment or 173rd or a rotational Armor Brigade combat team in Europe. Assess it in the field, do an operational assessment, and learn earlier so we can get to right faster. So if we waited and tried to build the perfect solution and put it into a program, we would not meet the timeline given to us by the Chief of Staff of the Army. Now, the Rapid Capability Office, I'll come back to that, but we answer to the Secretary of the Army, the Chief of Staff of the Army, and the Army's Chief Acquisition Executive. Those are the 3 voting members of the board. But all the stakeholders inform the problem set. The G2 of the Army, along with the intelligence community, they lay out the threat network. And then Forces Command, Army Interior Command, Training and Doctrine Command, they inform how we're getting after this problem. All agree that we're focused on the right 2 to get out the gate. We've got to be able to solve ground maneuver in those contested and congested domains. And then we come back and the voting members of the Board of Directors approve what we're moving forward. But we're getting after smaller problems, prototype faster, close the gap between the operator and the program manager so that we can get real-time lessons from the field, turn them into the next generation or evolution of that piece of material, feed the rest of the .mil PF so we can understand what the sustainment, training, and leader development bill is going to be to that, and then allow senior leaders to make a decision either to kill it and move forward to a better answer, or let's keep going with the prototyping next generation but smaller scale, or move it to a program of record because we need it into the entire force. That's our framework. But having done this now for the last, and it really has been longer than 6 months because as the ops director for the G3, this is what we did. We handled operational needs statements. The Army needs to stay ready today but also relevant tomorrow. So we understand. I've seen it since 9/11. We've done everything rapid. Rapid Equipping Force, Rapid Fielding Initiative, now Rapid Capability Office. My assessment, now heading out the door to command a division, is the Army has got to accept that rapid is the new norm. The exception now must become the norm. We must take our procurement. We must be willing to take risks and fail faster so that our program executive officers can meet with the demand that the Chief and the Army needs to meet the global demand placed upon us. So I'm really thankful for having me here today. I look forward to talking to you after all the speakers are through. Thank you very much.